Hello and welcome to the OBearry podcast. This is the 11th episode of this podcast. And today I have with me Janami. And we are going to talk about self-development and mental health. And it's going to be amazing. Hello and welcome, Janami.
Hello.
Hello and welcome.
Hey.
It's great to have you. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Not as excited as I am, I can promise you. It's great.
I don't
know. We're both excited.
Oh yes, certainly.
I think one of the big reasons why I'm excited is because the moment I step in your stream, I'm instantly laughing about something, or like we're making jokes about something, and you are always laughing, and there's just this spark of friendliness and positivity that I really connect to. So there wasn't like love at first sight kind of thing, but between streamers. Which is like what I felt with a lot of my guests here are people that I really want to talk more to these people. I really want to get to know them more. I want to make friends within in the Twitch community. So that I think this is great to have you here, so we can get to know you a little bit more than just from the streams.
Thank you. Before you say anything else, I really want to thank you for the kind words. Absolutely appreciate that. And just going to give it back to you. Seriously, getting into your stream and getting in contact with your community immediately felt awesome. It's super welcoming, super warm, super positive, and so many loves. It was really fantastic.
It's great to hear. I'm glad to hear that too. That's amazing. So we have some topics. We named this or put the title self-development and mental health. It's like the theme and topic for this because it's something that you're passionate about. It's something that I'm also interested and passionate about. So that's gonna be really great to talk to you about some things. And we're gonna go on for. We're aiming for like 1 hour. We'll see where we end up. It might be like, we might be here in 3 hours. No one's going to be here. Just you and me, chatting away. Everyone already like either went to bed, went to work, just like gave up on the stream. Like, what is this? And we're doing this. I'm going to say this. We're doing this live on Twitch. So if you're listening or watching after this live broadcast, we might say things that sound weird to you, and it's because we are reacting to maybe a live stream chat or things that are happening on the live stream. But welcome everybody, live or in the future or in the past. I don't know where you're listening or watching from, but it's going to be a great time. And I'm ready to dive into the topics.
Oh, so am I. Absolutely.
Okay. The first question, I think, a very natural place to start is like, who are you? Where did you come from? Why are you here? Let's just give us like the short version of just who you are, like a short presentation. Just what do you eat for breakfast?
All right, I'll try. Hello, my name is Janami. Or Nathan. I'm a variety caster on Twitch. I study music and soon to be philosophy. I talk a lot about video games, in particular about mental health, as I feel like that's an incredible important topic. And I laugh a lot. I think that was most important stuff.
That's good. Short and sweet. How did you get into video games? How did that start for you?
I guess kind of early. I got a Game Boy to my 6th or 7th birthday. But I really got into gaming when I was around 12 years old, I believe. Must be around that. My grandma gifted me Mass Effect 2 for birthday. She had no clue about the game. She was just walking in the store, be like, "Yeah, I need a great game for my grandson. What can you recommend me?" "Oh, we have this game here." So I got it, and it was vacation, luckily, because I couldn't put the game down, and I was playing for 10 hours a day straight till the end. I wasn't stopping. That kind of sparked something in me because I've never got sucked so much into a game till then, and I needed more of that. And yeah,
How
that's
old
how I
were
got into
you?
gaming.
How old were you when you got that Mass Effect, did you say?
I think 12, 13,
Right.
around that, maybe 14.
That really sparked your passion for games.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
okay, that's awesome. Something else that you were also passionate about. Maybe you didn't choose it. Like, I don't know how. Video games is usually something you choose to do on your own, but music, I know, is a big part of your life.
Yeah.
So when did? Because that's also, I think, a big part of who you are and like your how your upbringing, I guess. How early did that start?
Well, basically with my birth.
Oh.
Both of my.
I was picturing you being delivered, like, and there were like a choir singing. I don't know, like it just started right there. Like there was music going on.
Not exactly choir, but my parents are both musicians, and there is a picture of me a few days after I was born, where I was walking over the keyboard of a piano. And it was literally a few days after giving birth to me. So
With
yeah,
support, right? You weren't like walking on your own. A few days
yeah, with support, of course.
la, 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 walking across the piano. La, 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 la.
No, my parents were holding me.
Oh, okay. That's not as impressive then. No, I'm just kidding. It's still a great. I can see the picture like in my mind. It seems like. Do you have this picture? Do you have it?
I don't.
You
Not
don't
here. I need to ask my mom if she still has the picture. I know it exists, and perhaps we can find it. Perhaps we can somehow find it.
We'll post it somewhere eventually.
Everywhere.
So both of your parents are artists to some degree.
Yeah, they're both musicians, and so they got me into music really early. I started playing violin when I was 6 years old. We had a piano in the same room that my mom was teaching me violin, and so whenever I was supposed to play violin, I would actually then go ahead and play piano. So very quickly we changed over to that.
Right.
And at the moment, I'm studying music with a focus on piano. And so this is something that has, well, absolutely kept me company through my entire life so far.
If you compare music to video games, how are they, like, how much do they mean to you, and how are they different in their qualities? Like for you, how you experience them, like, and how they are a part of your life, or how they have been part of your life. Kind of what role have they played for you and your like, and like making you who you are today, like, and have it been different, similarities, like?
Oof, that's a hard question. That's a hard question.
We have a few hours.
I think it's a hard to answer question. Music was something that was very naturally part of my, well, everyday life. If I chose to or not, it was just there. Which is, I guess, the biggest difference to video games, as none of my parents really were into gaming. Like, not at all. Not at all. They also didn't really like that I liked playing video games.
Right.
But for the most part, they were fine with it. And so the biggest difference for me, the importance would be, video games was something that I actively got into, and music is something that got brought up to me and that then I followed.
Did you ever have a lot of resistance for music, or practicing, or just, you know?
Oh, I hate practicing. But
Yeah.
I think everyone does. And
Yeah.
yes, I don't know a single musician who likes to practice. And I'm seriously. Uh, do you like sitting down and working towards a greater goal, like sitting and working actively on your faults, on your mistakes, on what you're doing poorly at the moment for 2 hours straight? I think no one likes that, but it's a necessity and something I just kind of learned I had to do. And although I would rarely practice 2 hours, um, I knew I had to sit down, I had to face what I was not able to, and well, yeah, practice towards being able to.
Have you used that skill to your knowledge to in other areas than music? Do you think it's been valuable to you to kind of know about that secret that like, oh, this is how you
Yes,
get better, this is how you
absolutely.
actually reach new levels?
Oh, certainly. A great quote that I read somewhere and that I believe is incredibly true. And some people maybe think or should think a bit more about is motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going.
Right, yeah, I saw you posted that a few days ago on Twitter, I guess, too, or
Yes,
somewhere.
yes.
Motivation will get you started, discipline will get you to keep going. What?
Yeah,
Say it again.
basically.
Say it again.
Motivation might get you started, but discipline keeps you going.
Exactly. Simple as
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Are you a very disciplined person? I think you mentioned that you're a perfectionist. Is that is that the same as being a disciplined?
No, no. See, I don't wouldn't consider myself. Uh, hmm. That's a good question. I just from my feeling at first, I don't think the one is the same as the other. As the one is more of the power behind doing something, and the other one is kind of like a mindset that perhaps sparks the idea I need to do something, right? So the one is like the force, and the other one is like the root. And I wouldn't call myself incredibly disciplined. It's really
Would
depending on
other people called you disciplined? Or
other
like,
people did. I guess it just it depends on where to put my energy into, and I think everyone knows that. Sometimes you are very passionate about something, and whenever I am passionate about something, whenever I really want something, I can put 100% energy into that and be incredibly disciplined. The discipline that surprises me even as
yeah.
well, because I then see like a bigger mission, something that I want to achieve, and I don't think I'm alone with that. I think if you find something that is shining like a bright star, a mission for yourself, something that you feel like I need this, I this is important. This is important to me. This is important to my life. I think that will spark a lot of discipline and motivation.
I love that. If you like, you can describe the secret behind success to be finding something that you're really passionate about, because that will bring the motivation and discipline, maybe like to to keep at it and not giving up, and just feeling, getting new ideas. And we're going to talk more about that, like
Yes.
having that, like how do you, I mean, maybe we will talk about how do you find your passion, and like how do you clarify to yourself what that passion is.
Yes, yes.
So that's okay. We'll get there. We'll get there. Don't rush me.
I'm not rushing you, Barry.
No, I mean I wasn't actually.
But do it quicker.
Oh,
Come on, quicker. Where are we? Come on.
I've been here 10 minutes now. I'm wasting my time. So we know how your interest for video games started, and like where the passion started, and then you got really like you chose like to spend ungodly amounts of hours in Mass Effect and character creation and playing it through like front to back, like over and over.
Yes, I finished it once and I played it immediately from start to finish again. And then played it immediately from start to finish again. I literally played it 3 times, back to back, because I loved it so much.
But you got Mass Effect 2? Wait, and then
Yes.
you started with the second one.
Yes.
Okay.
I started with the second one.
Sure. Why not?
And then got myself the first one later. In my mind back then, which is kind of stupid if you think about it, but in my mind it was like that. I was not thinking in like stories in books where part 1 is the start, part 2 is a sequel. It was much more like, oh yeah, there's a second game of this.
Right.
This is probably just as good as the first one.
Yeah.
But they took everything that's bad and improved upon it. So this is even better.
Right. So the first game was better to you because you like that was a sequel to you, like a game that came after the second game. But it's like it's understandable if you're like 12 or 13 years old. You don't think too deep about those things. You just the next Mass Effect game. I really want to play this because I love the first one. You fell in love with gaming, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Beautiful. I love that stuff. I love that stuff. Did your parents ever try to stop you from playing or get in the way between you and your new love? Did they ever try to break up this relationship? Did she stay over when you and your parents know about it?
I wouldn't go that far, no. My family comes from Poland. Everyone who knows a little bit about Poland knows that it's kind of a conservative country with rather conservative values. And my parents were, relatively speaking, very, very far progressive. But nevertheless, if you compare that then to very progressive people, it was still, relatively speaking, conservative. And they didn't like it that I would spend that much time there, of course. To be fair, I feel like sometimes I might have spent a bit too much time. But they were never like trying to completely prohibit it, and that I'm very grateful for.
That's cool. Do you feel like your relationship has changed a lot from that, the love you had for video games and your relationship to video games back then as a kid or teenager, from now, like how you think and interact with video games? Mm-hmm. Do you think it's very different, and how?
Oh, I certainly think it's different. I mean, think back to how you were when you were younger, when you were 12. God. And now think back how you are now.
Oh, there's a big change.
That's a very big change. There's a very big change, probably also in values.
Yeah.
And in opinions. And in the approach of things. And so back then, I would play video games because they were just a ton of fun. They were just fun, and it wouldn't matter if I would play a bad game or a good game. I would just have just mindless fun. And with diving deeper into video games, learning more about them, also maturing and growing up, yes, definitely my approach to video games changed.
I know League of Legends was a big part of the, mm-hmm. that change in your mindset and in your self-development journey. So I think maybe now it's a good time to dive into that. Kind of like,
yes, we can,
and tie it into video games and tie it together with mental health, self-development. So how did League of Legends play into you growing as a person? And yeah, take it away. Ooh. I know you got a story here.
Oh, League of Legends. I have
go
very strong emotions about that game, in all directions, and it's certainly been a very important game to me personally. It was the second game that I really fell in love with after Mass Effect. Like after Mass Effect, I would continue to play that game, Mass Effect, also Sega for other games. but none of the other games that I played then had like this. This is a whole new world kind of effect, which League of Legends actually had. Like, until then, I've never played multiplayer games. This was the first time me interacting with other people. This was the first time me being faced with a game that's kind of, I want to say easy to get into, but I had friends that dragged me into it, so it was kind of easy to just play with them.
Right.
But then there was so much to learn. The learning curve is incredibly high and steep with games like League of Legends. There's 150 champions, each and every one with at least 4 active abilities, and then with passive abilities, some of them have even more. Then there is items that you have to learn. Then there's the map, the different objectives. Then every year or every half year, everything changes. And that was a whole new world. Played a lot. And at the same time, I got my A levels. I moved out of home. And I was, for the first time, like, really thrown into life. Real adult life. And at the same time, I was starting to kind of see where my demons would be. Where perhaps I don't want to say faults. That's like the wrong word. But I would say that, hey, there's a lot to learn, for one, but also there are some things that I'm just very, very unhappy with. Unhappy with myself, unhappy with how I'm feeling. And I got diagnosed then with depression back then. I had a therapy. And
can I just step in a little bit and
yes, you can.
and ask you to maybe clarify a little bit, like, so how did the game help you discover what you were unhappy about? How did that surface in the game? Can you give like maybe one example to clarify for any listeners?
Oh yes. I wanted to go into that.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I didn't know.
No
if there was something.
No worries. Absolutely no worries. That was a long prologue.
Right. Okay, but do it however you like, in whatever order you like.
There were actually 2 games. We're gonna stick to League of Legends now for clarity's sake. That kind of showed me what was wrong. League of Legends, 5 people against 5 people, and I was thrown into that. And for example, if you do something wrong, if you mess up, right, you die. Dying is pretty punishing. It weakens you. It strengthens the enemy. It sucks. And the easiest is to just blame it on other people. And I was pretty toxic back then. I hate to say that, but I was really toxic. I would absolutely misbehave. I would treat people poorly. And seeing that and realizing that was an absolute eye-opener. I was realizing, holy poop, what are you doing? And then thinking about, why the F am I doing this? Why the F am I talking to a complete stranger like this, talking him down, being really, really toxic, making him feel bad? And that's because I was feeling bad. And I talked about those kind of things as well then on therapy. And yeah,
because this actually led into like facing adult life, discovering these things that you weren't happy about with yourself, resulted in a depression. Kind of. Okay. Well, yeah.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you there.
I'm just clarifying. Like, I'm just summarizing, clarifying a little bit of what you're saying. It was a tough time for you, and and you used a therapist to help you like go through and solve these. Okay, please continue. Just continue the story. I didn't have any questions specifically. I just
okay. No, it's good that you clarify that you kind of repeat those things. That's absolutely awesome. Yes, and you're very true. I said kinda because I feel like a depression and something like that, anxiety as well, and all sorts of different mental health issues are usually way too complex and coming from so many different points. It's oftentimes hard to pinpoint exactly and be like, yeah, this right here is why I'm depressed. It usually doesn't work like that. It's oftentimes a big mixture of things. My kind of background, my genes, my family, how I grew up, my education, my surroundings, and my family, for example. So just for like more information and why this, for example, ties into that. My mom was depressed. My father was also depressed, and those were things that I until then didn't know. Um, but it's a thing that definitely ties into it. So yeah, I I guess when I was moving out and living on my own, I suddenly had way less stability in life, if that makes sense. I was like, I had to do everything on my own, and I didn't have my parents or my mom now being there every day. And so instead of her kicking my butt when I wouldn't get out of bed, I would just stay in bed. And it just kind of got worse and worse and worse until I made that decision to, yes, I need to change something. I had days where just moving out of the bed was almost not possible, and that sounds ridiculous for everyone who've never experienced that. Everyone who did experience depression knows. Yes, sometimes, sometimes, even rolling over in the bed, it feels just too much. And those moments when I kind of just disappeared for days out of university, and friends didn't know where I am, shocked me. Then in retrospective, when I was then starting to feel better again, I was like, wow, what did you just stay in bed for pretty much 3 days? Wow.
Is that how you realize that this is something else? This is like, it's not, this is more than just normal being down. This is like, when did you come to the conclusion or realization that, oh, this is a depression? Because that's, you said diagnosed, you were diagnosed?
Yeah, I actually don't know what exactly did it. It was more so like I was talking about that kind of stuff with my back then girlfriend, and she was in therapy as well. So she sent me to her therapist.
Oh, okay.
And we were then starting to talk about all these kind of topics, all about what I was feeling, about what was happening to me, about how I'm dealing with all those things. And it was rather that over the course of that talking, my therapist was amazing, was absolutely lovely. And she didn't talk that much, really. It was mostly me talking and her then just throwing very, very specifically aimed questions at me that led to then the end of the therapy session, that she came to me and said, yeah, you suffer from depression, and that's okay. There's a reason that you feel the way you feel, and that is okay. And we're going to work together. We're gonna do everything that we can to make it better.
All right. What? So what do I ask after this? It's a. There's a lot of like. There's a. How many years would you say like you were in really like deep in depression, like, or like affected by it in a big way?
It was one really bad year, which is not a lot. Seriously. There are people who suffer from depression their entire life. It was one year that was really bad. And in that year, I sought out help, which I'm so grateful I did. And I that was the best decision probably I've ever did. And afterwards, it just continued to get better and better and better. And I wouldn't call myself depressed anymore. I'm not chronically depressed. I do still get depressive phase from time to time, especially in winter, but also sometimes in summer. I actually talked about that thing at the beginning of January when I came back from vacation. We talked about it in the community. I talked about it on stream. How that affected me. But I consider myself incredibly lucky. Incredibly lucky. My girlfriend back then, ex-girlfriend now, helped me tremendously to push me there. And
To get help?
Yeah. Her mother was also depressed, so she knew what was up kind of early.
Oh, right.
And I was one hell of a lucky person.
What would happen if you didn't get the help, do you think?
Oh. Can I say that? Okay, I'm gonna be very, very honest. I am very afraid to think about that.
Oh, right. Okay, yeah.
Like,
okay, I see.
I don't know. I don't also think I'm not sure if I should think about it.
No, maybe you're right.
Everything could have happened. It could have just gone worse, or I could have maybe a month later or a year later then still decided to go to therapy.
Right. You never know. You might have gotten help later. So instead, let me rephrase it. How much did getting help, how much did that help you? Like, how much did that mean to you? And like, how much did that help you deal with the depression? Like, how valuable is it? Like, if you're in that position, like,
absolutely. Again, I consider myself very, very lucky. The therapy worked incredibly well, and I had the also additional incredible luck to find someone that I felt very, very comfortable basically immediately. There are many people who seek out help and they don't feel good with the counselor and the therapists they meet.
Right.
And so how valuable was that? Well, it changed my life entirely. It turned my life around from being very self-destructive to being very, very productive. From my life is pretty poop, and by pretty poop, I mean absolutely poop, to, hey, I freaking love my life.
That's awesome. That's great. There was something you said about music and practice that I think maybe ties into this, and I want to know what you think about it, because you said when it comes to music and practicing, it's about revisiting things that you are unhappy with, things that are uncomfortable to face.
Yeah.
How much of therapy and like dealing with depression is about facing uncomfortable emotions and dealing with that? Isn't that what it's all about? And that's why we so easily decide not to deal with it, because it's easier to distract yourself. It's easier to not deal with it. But then I think a lot of people comes to a point where we just either break down or we feel too bad. Like we have to face it.
In therapy, it basically means everything. Therapy would just not work if you would not be willing to tackle those issues. And luckily, you're not alone there. Luckily, there's someone whose absolute goal it is to help you. And so that's very empowering. I think you're very right there. Yeah, my musical background probably helped me very, very much, because I was used to tackle things that are not right, that are that are feeling wrong. And still, for a long time, I didn't tackle those things, probably because I didn't really know where to start and how to then go further. And I also didn't really know what was wrong.
Right. Because in the beginning, maybe all you feel is like, I feel bad. I'm just going to stay in bed because maybe that will help. And
Yeah, exactly.
I just feel bad.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Maybe I just slept not good. Maybe it's just yesterday was too exhausting. Maybe it's just the weather. Maybe I didn't eat something good enough, etc. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for sharing about that.
You're welcome.
Let's dig deeper. Yeah.
Let's go.
I think this is like the a chapter in your life that you probably isn't fun to revisit. So that means even more that you, like, it's even more valuable, and we're even more grateful that you want to share about it. Because I think, like I said, we kind of want to look away from things that are uncomfortable, but I think a lot of people can relate, and it's important to talk about. And also, that's not where the story ends at all, because we are here, and there are so many things that we're excited about, and going through this the dark period, or the period of depression, isn't that the very same reason why you are so passionate about positivity and like like helping others and sharing information about it now? No?
Yes.
How much is like, or is that the reason? Why are you so adamant about, I have to spread positivity now? Like, why is that so important to you?
I think that phase in my life back then was incredibly valuable, incredibly important. You said it's not fun visiting it back, and yes, fun is the wrong word. At the same time, fun is so nuanced and can be experienced in so many different ways. And while the immediate feeling of going back to those feelings, those situations may not be fun and pleasurable, it is valuable. It can help us, and it helped me. Like, when I think back at those things, or when I think back about other things in my life that maybe led to me feeling like I did back then, that is never pleasurable, but it is valuable. Because I can take the piece of information. I can take that, I can really, really dig into it, and I can see, is there anything I can learn from this? Is there anything I can do with this? Am I angry with this? Am I sad about this? Am I happy about this? Whatever. And even if it's something like anger that I'm experiencing, anger can be one of the greatest and biggest motivators on earth.
Yeah. It can help you get things done.
Yes, absolutely. Like, emotions are a form of energy. And there are emotions that tend to be constructive, like love. And there are emotions that tend to be destructive, like anger. But it's kind of on us to redirect those emotions. And so to tie that all up in one point, while it was not fun, those emotions I'm feeling when going back to that, I know I can use in a very, very productive manner to make my life better.
And I think also, and hopefully, which is also one reason why we are here, we want to share it with others. Yes. It helped us feel better, and now we want to give. So I feel like you have almost like a mission on Twitch. Wouldn't you say, Janami?
What a buzzword. Where did you get that one from?
A mission impossible.
Dun, dun, dun,
5
dun, dun,
coming out this spring with Janami.
Dun, 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 dun.
Exactly. We talked. So the reason why we're like just goofing around now is because we talked before the podcast, and the word mission came up, like, because you used it, and you thought about this before, the word mission and having a mission. And I think that's what that's what I want you to tell me more about right now, because it feels like you are using your experiences, like you've gone through, in a positive way now, and that you have like So what's your mission? What's your mission on Twitch? Like what are you doing? Why?
Okay. So basically, from what we just talked about, I want to reach people about those kind of things. I consider myself incredibly lucky, as I said. And there are many people who are not as lucky as I am. I felt back then that I was alone, completely alone. I was no one, and yes, that might now sound really, really weird, but I was no one to talk openly about my emotions. I never learned that back then. I learned that while going through therapy. I learned that while going through League of Legends games and realizing, oh my god, I'm really angry right now. I learned that with people around me, but that was a skill that I didn't had at the age of 17. I want to make people know and realize vulnerability, openness, those things are beautiful. Those things can be inspiring. Those things can be empowering. And to use that energy to talk about mental health and to help people work towards being happy and living a great life, because everyone and that I am 100% convinced of, everyone deserves to live their life to the fullest. Everyone deserves to find something they dedicate their life to and to be happy.
So that's your mission.
Yeah.
To help others get maybe if they are in a bad situation, like mentally, to kind of like seek help or seek out the things that makes them happy. And
for the longest time I didn't had a place to go to talk about my emotions and those kind of things. For the longest time I didn't had a place that I felt like other people are supportive and kind and nice to each other just because. For the longest time didn't had a place where these people would do those things and be connected via a passion, in this case video games. And I believe that video games, and that kind of ties into that, are an incredible potential tool. There's so much potential in video games. And I want to use that. I want to create that space for people. And I don't want to do that alone. Luckily, I do not. Luckily, there are so many amazing people. And I will count you as well into that, OBearry, who create that space, that safe space for people to come in, to feel at home, and to know that they are not alone.
And they are worthy of love. They're worthy of happiness, just because.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not just because. There's actually interesting.
All right. Yeah.
I've listened to a German psychologist, and he had a mission. He wants that no child in the world attempts suicide because of bad grades in school. The reason for that is he talked about self-worth and how much we as a society dedicate the feeling of worth to our, or link the feeling of our self-worth with our performance.
Right.
While those two are completely different. Now, I'm not going to talk so much about the performance side and more so about the original point about your self-worth. You are alive. You are a living being. You are a miracle. literally, it's the most amazing world. And if you start thinking about it, the most mind-blowing thing in the world, that two people meet each other and create new life. And that is beyond valuable. And that value, there's no matter what you do, you will not be able to take that away. That value of life, that potential of what you can do with that. And I think everyone should recognize that. It would be amazing. Everyone deserves to recognize that, because that is empowering, and that will give you so much self-confidence.
That was a beautiful way of describing, being valuable just because. You could say
exactly.
because, but you could also describe it the way you do, which really helps me, feel it more, visualize it.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. And you have, and it's really obvious that you're passionate about it. So, was it obvious when you started on Twitch, like, oh yeah, this is my mission, like, or did you have to work with it, or like?
No. Oh no, actually no. I knew from the very beginning which direction I wanted to go. But I didn't realize how much potential Twitch as a platform has. And I didn't realize how much on Twitch you can reach people. That when then the first people started to come over, and when I started to get into communities and make friends, and not we are friendos, no, actual honest and real friends. That blew my mind completely. And so very quickly, once realizing that, shifted more into that direction, because I knew I needed to give something that I felt I didn't have back then.
So it wasn't obvious from the beginning of when you see it. It
Yes.
became more and more clear as you felt like, oh, you can make real friends, and I want to give back to these people, and they deserve. It can have a real impact. And the Twitch is a crazy place like that. It's amazing.
Oh, it's crazy.
It's absolutely like, I feel like I'm discovering like this new planet together with a lot of other people here in the cyber world, and we're just ooh, what's this place? Let's see what we can come up with here and have fun together, and like a new world, and so on. Like it blows my mind too. Because there is so much potential, and we've seen that Twitch can be so many different things, and it can be used for many different things and for many different reasons. Like, for example, I told you about a community that called themselves kind of the sad community, where sad people could join.
Because I remember.
Because they were feeling sad for some reason, they were broken, and they could find other people that are sad. And we talked a little bit about how maybe not so great to identify with being sad so much, but still, that's also a thing on Twitch. And like, we have our own, you have your mission, and we have our missions, and like to make spread positivity and give. Twitch just blows my mind over and over. It's really interesting to see what is possible and what people are doing, and. And I really respect and admire your mission and like why you are on Twitch, and your kind of like your mindset about it. It's cool. It's cool.
Thank you.
I just went on a little bit of a rant. Yeah.
A very positive rant. No, Twitch has so many possibilities, so much potential, and I love that. Absolutely love that. One thing that I realized, the longer I streamed and the longer I engaged with different people, is the amount of potential that lies not only in Twitch but also in video games. I am so excited about where the use of video games is going to lead us. I am fully expecting in a few years to have some form of video game in schools being implemented, some form of video games being implemented in training of other people, etc. There are already projects for video games to help with anxiety. Um,
Right.
there are absolutely amazing projects, and Twitch ties so amazingly well into that as a form of entertainment. But not only, there are so many also educational things. It's incredible, actually.
Yeah, Twitch can be used. You think Twitch can be used in schools, like as a way to educate and maybe help?
In schools.
I don't know. That you said in education. But you
And
see, video
education
games
also,
can be used in education.
oh, video games certainly. I mean, Minecraft was already used in schools, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, it's been used all over.
And I'm very, very positive that there are other games coming. And Twitch, not so much for school as rather for perhaps personal schooling.
Private
For
life,
example,
like, yeah.
For example, someone is talking about video game programming courses. And I feel like Twitch can totally be used for these kind of things. Like someone just teaching you how to program things.
Right.
And the beauty is, not only can he show that to everyone on the planet, which is crazy. You can be on literally the one and the other end of the planet, and you can still show those kind of things, and you can interact with them.
Yeah. It's next level.
Absolutely next level. It's just mind blowing. I'm so looking forward. I really am. Yes. I can only repeat myself.
These kind of like the Twitch as a form of a platform for education, interaction, entertainment.
Yeah.
It's going to change some of the systems or affect some of the systems that we have. School, for example, what if like you don't even have to go to a physical place anymore, and you can just learn what you want to learn when you want to learn it, maybe like with VODs or like live streams by professionals from like somewhere. For example, if it's like an educational purpose, or we already see it happens. We see it happen a lot with entertainment, right? That's a Twitch at its core.
Yes.
Usually, mostly it's entertainment.
Yes.
And like you can really find like niched entertainment.
True.
I don't know where I was going with that. So should we talk? Do you want to talk a little bit more about maybe Twitch or some more like personal development or mental health, personal development topics?
We can talk about the one and the other. I feel like we did already talk quite a bit about mental health, personal development per se. We can maybe go over things that are important to us and perhaps some applicable things. Although I don't think I am the sole source for those things. I don't think I am. What's the word? I shouldn't be. There are professionals out there for this kind of things. All we can do is like kind of be friends and raise awareness and talk about those things and help other people educate themselves. Or another thing that I know that you wanted to talk about is more about Twitch, for example, earning money on Twitch.
That did come up in a previous discussion we had. But I mean I feel like we can, before we do that, I feel like it's important maybe to, like you said, like we are not professionals, like, and we're talking about mental health and stuff, but I recommend seeking help if you're like, depending on where you are with mentally, seeking professional help is great. I had professional help. I had a therapist for almost a year. And it helped me immensely. So I really recommend that too. And like you said, also we can be friends, and That is super helpful.
Oh,
That is
yes.
super positive. That is like super valuable. And that affects people's life in a big way too.
I had someone telling me yesterday, because we were playing Subnautica, which is a pretty scary game. It's a beautiful game, but also kind of scary for me personally. And so we talked about fears. And he said that the thing he's the most afraid of is being truly alone. A platform like Twitch can certainly help by connecting people. It does so on a daily basis. And I wish I found Twitch and these places earlier. I would have probably felt better. My whole recovery, etc., would have probably gone easier. All those things would have been just straight up better for me. Yes, it would not replace. Never. It would never replace a professional, no. But that's not the point. Something like depression and other mental health issues, they are incredibly complex and concerning and about so many different things. Just the feeling of, hey, I'm not alone. There are other people here. And not only do they understand how I feel, but also they are willing to listen. That is so much already and can have such a huge impact.
It's valuable. It's really valuable.
Truly valuable.
Something I...
You'll get it. You will get to that.
We'll get it.
Yeah. I can add to what I just said. That not only do I think that Twitch is amazing for that, but an idea that I have and maybe will evolve a bit more for other people as well is how video games can help with that as well. You're playing through Dark Souls at the moment, aren't you? I don't know how deep you are into the Soulsborne community. If you read something there online on Reddit, etc. But a topic that comes up very often times is how Dark Souls can help people.
Right.
How Dark Souls is resonating with people with, for example, depression.
Because of the community?
Oh, no, not so much of the community. I ask you about the community because there are oftentimes people talking about it. Be like, hey, Dark Souls really helped me. Dark Souls was an amazing game because it resonated so well with me, etc. And also because Dark Souls has that atmosphere, that world building, that struggle.
So for those of you who don't know, Dark Souls is mostly single player. There are some multiplayer elements, but mostly you're on your own and you're fighting through hordes of monsters and demons, and you're facing against, like, really, you have everything against you. And there's this constant struggle mostly, and you will die a lot over and over again, and have to start over and go back and try again, and that's kind of like the game. But it's a beautiful and dark world. And the world is very well built. It's almost like a fantasy world that is built by a good author that wrote it, like Lord of the Rings author like Tolkien wrote about a world and making it very like a fascinating place. And I think everything combined makes it a really big experience. And I think I'm fascinated by it, and I like it.
It is a game that, next to League of Legends, plays an important role in my life as well, as it is a game that I felt immediately sucked into once I booted it up. Although it took me a while to really get Dark Souls and make progress, I was fascinated immediately. Do you want to say something?
No, I want to hear.
Okay, and because we were talking about mental health and video games, how those two tie in together. that dark world of Dark Souls that is basically to ruins, where the end is nigh, and you are not really forming the story, shaping the story yourself, but much rather witnessing everything that already happened. And you going there, and there is one enemy, and then there's the next enemy, and one enemy at a time, and every single enemy can kill you if you don't pay attention. And you fight your way through. You're gonna die, but no matter how many times you die, technically, you can always try again. And there's this meta thing of going hollow. Going hollow is a concept in Dark Souls where people who lose their will and lose their mission, they will go hollow. They will not die. They are not able to die, but they will lose their mind. They will basically disappear. And it's very fitting to how you as a player, as long as you keep on going and keep on pushing yourself, you'll be able to beat the game eventually. Unless you give up. Then you go hollow and you disappear from the game. But all those concepts, and the struggle, the atmosphere, the world building, all those resonate very, very well with people who perhaps experienced depression.
You know, it reminds me of another game.
Which is?
Getting Over It.
No! No!
Climbing that enormous mountain of things. You're a man in a pot, sitting in a pot, and you're wielding a sledgehammer, and you are trying to climb up, and you're constantly falling down, and it's frustrating. That's one emotion.
So my community knows that I rarely get angry. But that game, oof, yes. You played it, right?
I beat it 3 times.
Oh my god.
Once you've done it once, you know, but it's the same as Dark Souls. As long as you don't give up, it's technically possible to beat it because you are learning a little bit every time.
Yes.
And it's frustrating.
It's so frustrating.
Because
it's oh my goodness.
Yeah, well, I don't think we're not gonna get into that game too much.
Okay.
We don't have time.
Nevertheless, it's actually it's a good game with a very, very strong message, I think.
It's cool. I think it has kind of the same, in a way, message. We are according to my schedule, we're kind of running out of time. We don't have to end it now, but we have to kind of think about the getting over it. And we will have
getting over it. Really.
Oh my god. For those of you who are live on Twitch, we are having a Q&A afterwards. Janami will stick around and you can ask questions, and we'll interact more with you guys in the chat if you want to. But I think at least we should mention TwitchCon, which is coming up in 2 months. TwitchCon is the convention for anyone on Twitch, a part of the community. If you're just a viewer or a streamer, whatever, a big convention in Berlin. And some of us are going, and it's amazing. We're gonna meet each other. We're gonna meet up at the convention. I'm so excited about it.
Oh, I'm so excited as well. I expect 1,000 subs. Not subs, hugs. Minimum.
That's great. The subconscious took over for a second.
Hugs. Meant hugs.
There's gonna be a hugging party at TwitchCon. Hugs for everyone. And
hugging and dancing and partying and talking and laughing. Lots of laughing.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. If they could only release the tickets so we can buy the actual tickets. It's nerve-wracking. The event is 2 months away and they haven't released tickets. I don't understand what's going on. I'm still excited to go though.
Like 3.5 months, right? Yeah, 3.5 months.
It's 3.5 months away. Oh, it's 2.5.
2.5.
March. It's yeah.
It's 2.5. It's January. That is even worse.
It's worse. I'm sure it's gonna be okay. Somehow.
Eating this Clementine in a very, very angry manner.
You know what's really good that we did? Oh, thank you. Janami's holding up fruit to the webcam for all of us to take a bite. Nom 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 nom.
You want some? You want?
Oh, I'm like, I thought it was. Okay, a little bit more. Take it closer. No, a little bit more. For those of you who are listening now, you won't have any idea. Well, I'm trying to eat fruit that Janami he's extending his arm to his right on the screen, the video, and I'm trying to eat the fruit off his hand, but it's difficult to explain. You have to watch the podcast on YouTube or if you can afterwards. We are gonna I was gonna say the good thing is that we have a lot of topics left, so I'm gonna invite you in a year and we're gonna see where you are and
lovely.
and like talk about things we didn't get the time to talk about we knew things, whatever. But we're gonna switch over to the Q&A. And I just want to say, before we do that, I just want to say thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Really, really, really appreciate it. And also, just plug all your channels, promote everything you have right now. Let us know where we can follow you. Let us know where we can subscribe, donate, buy the merch.
I'm expecting 1,000 subs.
And don't forget about the podcast. Please mention that.
First off, thank you so very much for having me. That was an absolute pleasure. Amazing being here. I think that was a very, very great conversation. That I feel like is very important. And so thank you for inviting me, and thank you for having that conversation about all these topics.
My pleasure.
Okay, anytime. Where can you find me?
Yeah.
Ooh, I almost forgot that.
Humble.
I'm on Twitch. Twitch.tv/JanamiPlays. And I'm on Twitter, JanamiPlays. And I have a Discord. Not JanamiPlays. But you can find those. You can find those if you found the Twitter and the Twitch. Right. There is an Instagram if you want to have a little bit more like off-screen insight, etc. And see more of my goofy face there. And as well, I have a podcast, like you do, where we talk about the emotional side of video gaming. So what we basically talked a lot about here, and what I kind of already said we were talking about yesterday, I'm going more in depth there.
Awesome. Okay, that's it. Thank you everyone for listening, watching live or on YouTube or listening on any of the radio stations that this is being published.
Thank you.
And take care. I'll see you soon, everyone. Let's say goodbye, Janami.
Time to say goodbye.